Hey folks, for this Theory Thursday tutorial, I wanted to go over a real simple concept here, a real simple thing that you can do to spice up that common 1-4-5 chord progression that we've all played a million times and a million songs are written using that 1-4-5, right? And that 1-4-5, like in the key of C, it is C, F, G. We hear that over and over again in so many different songs, right? In the key of G, that is G, C, D. So G, C, D. Hear that over and over again. G, C, D. In the key of D, that is D, G, A, back to D. So, oops. That's the 1-4-5 chord progression. D is the 1 chord, G is the 4 chord, and A is the 5 chord, right? In the key of A, we have A, D, and E as the 1-4-5 chord progression. A, D, E. Right? And then in the key of E, we have E, A, B. So these common chord progressions, they use almost all open chords, right? We do have the F in the key of C, C, F, G, and in the key of E, we do have that B, which is E, A, B, right? So for the most part, all open chords. But that 1-4-5 chord progression, we usually play it down here in the first few frets, right? A way to spice it up and to utilize more of the neck of the guitar is by using chord extensions or inversions as you move further up the neck. Now, we don't even need to spell out, like in C, it's if I take this C shape, that's a C chord. If I take that C chord and I slide it up here, I have an F major 9, no 5. And we don't even need to be able to spell it. We just know that the C chord is the 1 chord, and F, whatever F major chord we're playing, is going to be the 4 chord. And then if we come up here, we have a G6, no 5. And who cares? It doesn't matter. We know that it's a G major chord, and that is the 5 chord in the key of C. So all I'm doing here is I'm taking this C shape, and I'm sliding it up 5 frets on the neck. So right now my ring finger is on the 3rd fret. I slide that up to the 8th fret. 5 frets forward on the fretboard. And I have an F. And who cares what the extended chord is? It's an F. It's a 4 chord. And then I go up 2 more frets to the 5 chord. And it's a G. And who cares that it's a G6, no 5? We know that it's a G, so we can play that same C, F, G chord progression. We can play it C, F, G, back to C. And we're playing a 1-4-5 chord progression. We're using fancy extended chords, even if we can't spell them. And that's all good. We're just doing 1-4-5. We're spicing up our 1-4-5 playing by simply moving the 1 chord shape further up the neck to get to our 4 and 5. We're moving 5 frets up to get to our 4 chord, and another 2 frets up for a total of 7 to get our 5 chord. And we can do the same thing in the key of G. So what the key of G is G, C, D, right? So we can do the exact same thing. We can take a G chord, and in this case, we're going to do a 4-finger G. So our pinky and ring fingers are on strings 1 and 2 respectively at the 3rd fret. And then our middle finger and our index finger is on fret 2 of string 5, and middle finger is on fret 3 of string 6, right? So a 4-finger G chord. And then we can slide this up, and we'll look at the middle finger here. The middle finger is on fret 3. We slide that up to fret 8. And we have a C chord. Now, this is technically a C add 9. And again, we don't care. We just know that it's the 4 chord in the key of G, G, C, and D. So we know it's a C major chord. And if we go 2 frets up from there, we have a D chord, technically a D add 11. But again, who cares? It's a D chord. It's a 5 chord. So anywhere it says G, C, and D, any song we're playing with G, C, and D, we can just do. And you can hear that's the same G, C, D progression, that same 1, 4, 5 progression. Different voicing, but still 1, 4, 5. We can do the same thing in the key of D. And just as a side note, I'm working my way around the circle of fifths. I'm going from C to G to D to A to E. That's the order of the circle of fifths. I'm moving in fifths here, but it's okay. You don't need to know that. So here's a D chord in the key of D. We can slide this up 5 frets to get to a G chord, which is our 4 chord. And then you can slide it up another 2 chords. You can slide it up another 2 frets, and you get an A chord. Technically, these are inversions because you have the D as the lowest notes. So you have D, and then you have an inversion G over D, and another inversion A over D, because you still have D as the lowest note. But right, and that's the same as D, G, A with open chords. You can hear that same 1, 4, 5 chord progression. We're just doing it. We're just doing it by moving up the neck. We're finding the 4 chord by moving 5 frets, and we're finding the 5 chord by moving 2 more frets from there. So in the key of A, we have the exact same thing. We make our open A chord, and that's A, D, E, 1, 4, 5, right? So we can do the same thing. Here's A, move, and right now A is stacked up on the 2nd fret, so we're going to move up to the 7th fret. And when we move up to the 7th fret, that's a D chord. Technically an inversion, it's a D add 9 over A. That high E string makes it an add 9. If you don't play that, that high E string is just a D add 9. I mean, it's just a D over A, sorry. And then 2 more frets, and we have an E. And if you play the high E string, it's still an E. It's an E over A, because we have A as the lowest note. hear same exact 1-4-5 progression. So A, D, E, A, D, E. Exact same. It's just you're spicing it up with these inversions / extensions. So the last open chord that we're going to cover here is the E. So we go E, A, B. That's our 1-4-5. E, A, B. And we have a bar chord here. And a lot of people are struggling with that B bar chord. It's common for beginners to struggle with that. So we can take this E chord, this E shape, E, A, just slide that E chord up 5 frets. So our middle finger here is on the 2nd fret. Slide that to the 7th fret. And we have an A chord. Technically an A add 9/E. But who cares? We go up 2 more frets. And we have a B/E. Who cares? It's a B chord. It's the 5 chord. So if you are struggling with playing a B chord, you can hear that that this is the exact same chord. It's a B chord, right? So if you want to start playing your B chord here, it's all good. You can totally do that. And you can hear that it's E, A, B, 1-4-5, and here we go. E, A, B. You can hear the exact same chord progression. So that's E, A, B, 1-4-5. And this is just a really easy, simple way to spice up your playing, especially if you're playing with other people, you're in a jam session. Some of the chords that are like in the key of C, the F no 5, F major 9 no 5, and the G6 no 5. Doesn't matter if it's missing a 5, because if you're in a jam session or you're playing with other people, somebody else is likely covering that note. So you're just adding a little bit of spice, a little bit of flair. You're playing further up the neck, and so you totally look like a rock star playing further up the neck. And if you want to be a total rock star, you can finish a song, because the song tends to end on the 1 chord. Most songs tend to. So if you're going like C, F, G, you can hit the C here, right? And totally. And that high ping of being above the 12th fret just has a real nice way of putting an exclamation point at the end of a song, right? You can do the same thing with our G chord, right? Same thing with the G, right? We can do the same with the D. You got to shrug your shoulders and make a stank face and everything. Totally look like a rock star. Same thing with the A. And with your E chord, do the same thing. all sorts of options for you here. Just simply playing further up the neck, looking like a rock star, but easily spicing up that 1-4-5, that everyday common 1-4-5 chord progression. So anyhow, I hope that this tutorial helped, and until the next one, happy picking, y'all.